and it was a very nice visit there, Darshan. It was less crowded than usual, but still more crowded than what you would like to have in a COVID time. So I'm asked to quarantine at home. So I'm actually at home quarantined for the next few days, doing things like this only. Anyway, happy new year to all of you. We hope that this new year is going to be a better year than the previous years. Last few years have been a little bit difficult for all of us, but hopefully it'll get better. So to start the new year, we have a brand new session and a brand new speaker. So Satyan Parameswaran is the speaker for today. Satyan is a 1992 ECE grad from CEG, and now he is in a very senior position, a president of information technology at UPS. Now, for those of you who don't know what UPS, I'm going to ask Satyan when he talks to give a little bit about what UPS is, because a lot of people don't know what UPS, the company, does and what they stand for. I heard from Satyan for the first time, UPS is actually a technology company. It is not a trucking company; it's a technology company. So this is interesting thing to find out about this company. So Satyan is going to talk about that. Second thing is Satyan is also from a small town. He says he comes from Karur in Karur district, and one of the things I want him to tell people in this meeting is that not only it is possible for people to succeed from very small towns, but with the right amount of hard work, attitude, and luck, you can do wonders. So he's a shining example of that. So with that, what I'm going to do now is to start the presentation. Hope all of you can see my screen. The first screen with the nice, beautiful red CEG building logo on that. So today is Sunday. We got started now. First is a few guidelines for this session. This is the seventh session that we are doing in the CEG C-Level series. The CEG C-Level series program is something that I initiated on August the 15th, Indian Independence Day 2021. The idea behind the session is simple. A lot of our students and young alumni seem to say that they don't have access to senior alumni. They don't know who the senior alumni are, and they also want to know who has done what to get inspired and motivated. Unfortunately, we don't have any particular mechanism or program today available in any organization that is related to CEG that provides that. So, this is my attempt to provide an opportunity for CEG students and CEG alumni to get to know about our successful CEG alumni, not only to get to know them and also get inspired and motivated, but also to network with them. People like Satyan, people like Karthi, people like Vetri, these guys are not easy to get. I can tell you some of these guys to get an appointment with them takes several months. And here they are coming on the show free of cost for 1 full hour for you guys to take advantage of. So I really, really request all of you to take full advantage of this opportunity to network with, to talk to listen to people like Satyan, because these guys have done something phenomenal. After leaving CEG, they have done something really phenomenal. To be in the top of the organization in a large company like UPS is not a joke. UPS is one of the Fortune 20 companies, I think. It's a very, very large company. To be an executive management in UPS takes a lot of effort. Even Americans born in the US won't be able to get that. So that is a kind of achievement CGNs have gotten over the last several years. And I want all of you guys, alumni and students, to look at that and say, not only understand you can do it, but also appreciate the fact that these guys are spending their time, giving their time to you to share their knowledge, share their wisdom, share the experience. So please make use of it. Additionally, I also have a request. A lot of your classmates, batchmates, friends are not aware of the program. Again, unfortunately, the alumni associations or the various organizations, none of them are able to provide me a full database of all alumni or all students. Particularly students, I still have not been able to get one source of data to send information to all the students. It is quite sad. We are one of the topmost institutions in the country. We don't have a clear digital way of communicating with our own students. So, short of that, I want to request all of you, particularly those who are students who joined the call, please let all your batchmates, classmates know about this program. This program is run only for you guys. Neither me or the speakers get any benefit. We are sharing what we know, and it's only for you guys. It is up to you guys to take advantage of what we are offering here. And for that, kindly inform all your colleagues, your friends, your batchmates, classmates, what have you, about the program. The more people join, the more they benefit, the more we are happy. Okay, so with that, I'll start the presentation. Simple guidelines. Please stay muted during the presentation. We don't want any interruption, when the session is going on. And please turn off your video. We don't need video at this time. However, when question and answer session is happening, if you want to ask a question, you're very welcome to open your video and ask the questions. And that way we can see who's asking the question. The entire session is recorded. So people who are not able to join the session today will be able to look at the recording, but you have to be registered member of the cegconnect.com portal. If you're a registered member of the cegconnect.com portal, you will be able to see all the past recording of all the sessions. Today's session is number 7. Today is number 7. If you have questions, please use the Slido program. I'll get to Slido in a minute. Slido is a third party program, a free third party program that I use for the purposes of doing Q&A as well as for real time polling. There will be periodic live polls in Slido, so please participate in the poll. During Q&A, if your name is called, please unmute and also open your video to ask your question. So today's session is the guest speaker is Ms. Satyan Parameswaran. Satyan is a 1992 ECE graduate from CEG. He is the president of Information Technology at UPS. Thank you, Satyan, for joining today. I'm the host. I'm the 1985 CEG Mechanical Engineering batch, and then Parthasarathi is my tech support. He's a final year CEG student. He is still in college, and he's the one who actually put together this entire portal, cegconnect.com, for me. And so I'm making use of our own student resources to build this program as well. Okay. Slido. So what I want you guys to do is that for you to be able to ask questions as also to interact with the speaker, please go to slido.com. You can go to slido.com in your mobile or in your tablet or laptop, desktop, any device. Just open any browser and type slido.com on top. When you open Slido, you will see a screen where it's going to ask you. So it's going to ask you like this: enter code here. When you open slido.com, open the screen. At the place where it says enter code here, please enter 870461. 870461. For those of you who have Slido on the mobile, you can even scan this QR code as well. Once you enter 870461 in this screen, you should be able to look at a screen like this, where you'll be able to see the Q&A questions, etc. All that. Okay. So with that, I'm going to stop presenting my screen and I am going to switch to the actual meeting. Okay. Okay. Good. You're good here. So Satyan, again, welcome back to the program. What I want to do, Satyan, is the first, why don't you give a very brief introduction about yourself and UPS? I want you to take not more than 5 minutes to introduce yourself, where you came from, and how when you did in CEG, where you got to from CEG and what it took, and also a little bit about UPS also in 5 minutes, please.
Okay, the clock starts now, I guess.
Yes, clock starts now. Yes.
Okay. Before I go there, first of all, I just want to thank you, Vish and Partha, because you guys are doing an awesome job. When I was going through the college, I do not remember any programs like this where people can come and potentially provide guidance, because I'm not going to get on the soapbox and talk about how valuable our feedback is going to be. It's just a feedback. It's ultimately up to the individual to do what he or she wants to do. So thank you, because this takes a lot of time, a lot of coordination, and more importantly, a lot of patience, because this is pure volunteering work. And as with any voluntary work, like the results can always be a random walk. But so sincerely, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Second of all, I feel very honored. Okay, regardless of the outcome, if the discussion we are going to have is going to help even one individual, it hit its mark. So thank you. I am very honored, because when you go through your life, when you reflect on what you went through, you don't plan these kind of things. You don't plan. Several things just happen. It's like a sum of all the things that you have done. It's a sigma function in eternity, and some negative, some positive. So it's all good. So I'm very honored and humbled. Thank you very much. I never thought in million years I would be invited by esteemed alumni to give a talk. I'm honored. I'm thrilled. Thank you very much for doing this. So also, I just want to make one thing very clear. This is not going to be a classic rags to riches story, because every one of you on the call will have a success story. Every one of you. The fact that many people attend a CEG is, first of all, it's very difficult to get in, and second of all, it's not that expensive to attend CEG. So the fact that we are all there, uh, every one of us will have our own challenges, and how we go through the challenges and make the most of what the CEG has to offer is a standard storyline. Every one of us will have some fight songs, some fight scenes, and some songs, but the movie is very similar. So I'm not going to go too deep into a rags to riches story. So let's get away with that. But CEG is a great place. Uh, uh, I'll start with a brief overview of where I come from and then how it goes. Like Vish said, I'm a 1992 batch ECE, and I attended CEG for only one reason. I could not afford any other college at the time. My family background and financial background was in such a state that there are only two schools I could afford as a family. One is Gindi, and the other one is REC Trichy. And with all the educational systems, you had to be in a state level rank holder to get in, and there was no way out. And uh, somehow I got it. And I still remember the semester fee was 180 rupees, 20 rupees per course, and then 30 rupees for the labs, and then hostel was another 340 rupees per semester or per year. Mess bill was the biggest one, and then I would get through. So first time when I came to Chennai was the first time I had to come and attend CEG. I'm from Karur, like Vish said. Karur, a very industrious textile town in central Tamil Nadu. If you look now, like Karur, Tirupur, they're all leading exporters of cotton goods out of India. The town has changed a lot, improved a lot, but those were the days. It was just going through the reaper of foreign direct investments and financial policies getting revised by the then existing government. So a great town, very small town, very limited exposure. Came to Chennai. First time when I landed in Central Station, I was in shock and awe. Then the auto took us through the Mount Road. Another surprise. And I was gasping for breath all the way to Gindi campus. And then Gindi campus, now I feel very, very comfortable. But when I first came in, because before that, I have seen apparently Gindi campus in many of the movies. I'm a ardent Rajinikanth fan. So when I look back all the movies, I see some shots of Kodi Barakadu movie in the grounds with the Vivekananda auditorium in the background. So everything was a shock and awe, and I've never been in a large auditorium. I've never seen a big cricket ground, never seen a big road. Everything was first. But it was slowly sinking in, and it was a great atmosphere because majority of the students didn't come from Chennai. Of course, we had maybe, if I remember it, we had close to 400 people going through CEG at that time, every batch. Maybe 100 of them might be day scholars. The remaining we are all hostels. I was in third block. I think third block has become something else now. Maybe it's a ladies' hostel now, but we are in third block for 2 years, and then moved to ninth block, fifth block, room number 40, room number 39, and room number 40 again. And our batch was very unique. I don't think I'm the only reasonably successful person. Many of my classmates, like Shankar, Ravi, Ashokaram, and Sundar Gandhi, and Ashwin Raj, we are all doing reasonably well. For one simple thing is CEG taught us the engineering mindset. Make no mistake, it's not the grades you get in CEG. It's not that whether you are a topper or whether you are a person who just scrape through. It really doesn't matter in the real world. Grades are okay. They are. I see them as a kind of, hey, does this person have commitment to get through? Grades are not everything. It's the engineering mindset that CEG taught us is the one I believe is one of the things that helped us to get through life. There are so many factors that will influence our success in one way or the other. Engineering mindset happens to be one of them. There are so many other things. We will cover them later. Uh, Coming back to what I do for a living, I'm the president of information services here at UPS. For people who are not familiar with UPS, we are the number one logistics company in the world. Wish said we are Fortune 20. We are not Fortune 20, but we are Fortune 50. But we are the number one company in the logistics sector in the Fortune category. And we have been in business for 117 years and counting on. Uh, our company has seen multiple world wars, depressions, and multiple regional wars, and we are very profitable. And that's not an easy accomplishment, because moving stuff from point A to point B is one of the oldest industries in the entire world. You go back in the history, the trade and moving stuff, whether it is moving pepper and spices from Calicut all the way to Europe, or moving silk from China to the rest of the world, it's all about moving stuff. So people were always trying to move stuff. So being in that industry and doing it at a large scale, what I mean by large scale is we operate in 220 countries and territories, and we handle a lot of stuff. And logistics has become a very significant technological implementation, because the art of logistics is making sure the right resources are available at the right time to facilitate the task. That's all. If you break it down, you have to pick up something, you send your service provider at the right time, at the right place. He or she picks it up, brings it into the network. You just help facilitate the movement of the stuff through the network and then reach its destination. Just a handhold, guide the merchandise throughout the network. So close to 2,000 facilities are operating around the clock in the world for us, around 220 countries. And on a normal day, we handle like 24 million packages delivered. This is only small package, and we have other business units. And to do that, if you're all interested in engineering, many people may say, hey, this is all like a traveling salesman's problem, with time windows. You get into the mathematical aspect of how to do this. Every part of our business is a mathematical challenge. If you don't solve those problems in a very optimal way, which is a multivariate problem, you are not going to make money, because to facilitate the services in our industry, every resource is expensive, whether it is the humans moving stuff, or whether you are putting fuel in the package car or in the aircraft or forklift, you name it. Every one of them is a precious commodity, and we use technology extensively to facilitate it. And many people, when they see UPS, they might not see us as a technology company. They'll see that we are a trucking company, Brown. We are very proud about it. Our service providers with the brown uniform is one of the globally recognized brands. The moment they show, people know that, you know what, this person is going to be having a free access to my household. I don't have to fear, this person is going to come and take care of it. And you see a lot of videos where like people help elders and all, because our service providers represent us. But that's only the front end. For us, we have extensive technology available to help them to do their job. We spend close to maybe $2 billion in direct technology expenses every year, which is very significant compared to many other companies. But not many people know that. And I'll give a very subtle example. Close to 700 million search requests come to our website every single day. If we were a pure search engine, we might be one of the top 10 search engines in the entire world on any given day. We have close to 500, 600 aircrafts owned and leased, and then it keeps going. If we are an airline, we would be a top 10 airline. Of course, we are the number one logistics company. We already declared that. And if we go deep into every particular aspect of logistics industry, we would be in like a top 1, top 5, top 10, not outside of that. That many resources are utilized to facilitate this massive supply chain operation. And when you have more resources, you need to be careful, because it's very easy to lose money. And we are extremely profitable. Finally, in the last 2 years, our responsibility has increased significantly. Uh, as of last week, we helped ship 1 billion doses of vaccines. And we were part of the original US government, like a Warp Speed, where many of my team members, we were actually involved with creating that RFID based solutions, which will help you to track all the vaccines through the network, so that every single vaccine was delivered on time. We were very proud about it. We were marked as a critical infrastructure of the world. I carried a letter from the White House, where it allowed me to kind of travel even during quarantine times, because I'm part of the critical infrastructure. We move 3% of global GDP every single day, and it's uh, it's uh, it's 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 amazing to be part of UPS. I don't want to make this to be a UPS story, but the reason I am telling is, from a humble background, from a rural Karur. Uh, People from Karur now, if they hear it, they may get offended. Why are you calling Karur rural? But it was rural that time. I attended municipal higher secondary school, the only school, very simple education. And I did math very well. I did physics very well. I did chemistry very well. Those were my myopic focus on that. English was kind of second language, third language. Yeah, I can read and write very well in English, but speaking was seriously influenced by self-induced complex. But went through college. It was like enlightening experience. What I went through, and unbelievable batchmates, unbelievable professors, because we all shared the common thing. And joined Income ATL Toshiba out of campus, went there. And funny thing was, those days, TCS came to the campus, and then TCS said, we won't hire anybody who, if you don't have a graduate degree or computer science a BE. Didn't get selected, then worked with Toshiba, Income ATL, went and got a grad degree. Due to financial conditions, I had to move back to Karur. So I went to Trichy REC. I got accepted into a couple of IITs on microwave engineering and all, but I was so focused on, somebody rejected me because I don't have a computer science degree. Let me go get that. So I did come to Guindy, but I only spent 4 years. So I went to Trichy, because it was always a affordability question. They gave scholarships, finished it, then joined TCS. From there, I went to Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, and went to US. Worked for American Express, Target, and briefly for a small insurance company called USFNG. Then moved to Fujitsu Consulting. Went to UPS as a consultant. Till I joined UPS, I didn't know a company existed. I always thought it was a post office. No, huge difference. And then I didn't understand the jokes they were making about, oh, will they make you wear browns? Now I have my own browns. I go deliver packages every now and then. I'm very proud about it. Joined UPS, and then aligned myself with certain very fundamental principles. Then one thing led to another. I am running their whole small package operations. So from technology point of view, responsible for the technology that helps pick up, move, scan international regulations, deliver the handheld devices and the drivers, and how we dispatch them, how we automate them, everything, all the solutions, I'm responsible. For the people who are very engineering mindset oriented, I'm responsible for Orion, the program that's considered arguably the largest privately funded OR research in the world. They have written case studies about Orion in MIT. I'm heading Orion. The recent version of Orion was deployed last year. We also use data and analytics extensively. I was responsible for building a platform called Heat, which won CIO 100 award last year. So we employ hardcore engineering principles to achieve what we have to do. We keep saying that we are a technology company, but this is how I would like to rephrase it. We are a trucking company with the engineering mindset, with a lot of technology to make it happen. That's what we are. I'll pause here and then I'll give it back to Vish. I don't know whether I met your 5 minute goal, Vish, or
No, you
not.
no, you didn't. No, you didn't actually. That's okay.
Okay.
Actually, you covered a lot of the things I'm going to ask you in the future. That's good that you finished all of them.
Mhm.
What is important, Satyan, is that I think a lot of the people who are listening to the call are students or young alumni. They are the main audience for this program. As I said before, my primary objective of running this program is A, nobody else was doing it, and B, more importantly, I want people to get to hear from our own college alumni, the people
Mhm.
who sat in the same desk in the same room, going to the same canteen. Those people also could get to positions of power. It is not only a sole right of IITs only. Our guys in CEG have done phenomenally well. I want everyone to get the message that we, coming from CEG, can and will and should do as well as anybody else, if not better. Right. So towards that, I want you to spend next 5 minutes only,
Mhm.
on
Yeah.
key things that you had learned from the time you left CEG to now. That kind of stuff you want to pass on to the people who are listening to the call. Few key learnings that you want to pass on.
Okay. So, okay, definitely we'll do that. But I'm looking at the list of participants and I find another person. It's been a while, maybe 20 years I spoke to the person. I believe I am recognizing the person right. Babu Srinivasan. We played cricket together. Babu and I played cricket together for Gindi. I think I am recognizing him right, but I could be wrong. But if I,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wish didn't want me to join. I will talk to you later.
okay, so you are the same Babu.
Yes.
Babu happened to be the hostel representative for the ninth block who transformed everything, but all good. So now coming back to your core question, Vish. Uh, Let me touch on getting into CEG is yeah, the first step, meaning it is the first step of the filtration. That means you are academically sound. You can do math well. If you don't do math well, it's very difficult to get into CEG. And you can do math well. Doing math well and academically sound means you have very good common sense. That's what CEG. CEG has gone through the process of selecting the people with very good math skills and good common sense where they can apply their skills. And through curriculum, it always taught us how to think like an engineer. So I'm not going to say, oh, they taught us this, professors taught us this, they taught us the value of time. No, they taught us to be how to think like an engineer. So engineering mindset. So never give up on that. What I mean by engineering mindset, engineers generally, like I may offend somebody, are generally considered to be less imaginative. What I mean by that is they are problem solvers. If you go tell an engineer, hey, I want to build a bridge from Singapore to Chennai, they will immediately start thinking about, oh, let us build this. You know what? It's going to be like maybe 15,000 miles long or like whatever number of miles, and then there are some parts of the ocean where you may have to go to like 3,000 meter deep, and then they'll start solving it and very much into problem solving. However, where they are going to excel at is making compromises. You can solve a problem in 100 different ways. Every one of them will have a pro and con, and then there will be a lot of challenges to your thought process. All of them will be valid and all of them will be invalid at the same time. So the most important thing I learned from coming out of CEG is learn to compromise with an objective in mind, not political. If there are like 15 options, if there are 5 options, if there are 3 options, how to choose the option that will get us through. Those options may be the best options, may not be the best options, but you are going to deliver something by time. So engineering mindset is one. Just make no mistake, when you come into the world, for every one of you smart person, there are 15 other smart people trying to compete with you. World is full of smart people. We are not the smartest. We will never be the smartest. There will always be a challenger in the room. So learn to accept that. You don't have to be the smartest and brightest person in the room. However, You need to be the person with the mindset where you can look at all the options and select the best one to achieve the goal, not driven by pettiness or not suffer from not from here from my mind syndrome. Your idea need not be the best. So, but it's the art. That's one engineering mindset. Second one is communication. Make no mistake, communication is extremely important. What I mean by that is you cannot put the burden on the other person to make you understand and rationalize what you are saying. Nobody has time. Nobody has time. We need to learn to communicate properly. Communication is not one dimensional. When you are talking to a senior person, learn to stay away from extreme details. The higher you interact with, you don't have to burden them with the details, because your challenge is not the only challenge that they have to handle. They are juggling like 2,000 balls with their hands. Be respectful, but learn to communicate. I am not talking about communicating like a poet. I am not talking about communicating like some of the presidential candidates are trying to win the nomination. I'm not saying that. Very simple, precise, easy language to communicate with zero ambiguity. Don't get fooled by, oh, language is not knowledge. You don't have to worry about English is a language, English is not knowledge. I get that. But imagine if you are a person, if somebody from 8th grade is coming and talking to you, and if they cannot communicate with you very effectively, you will get distracted, because from your point of view, the 8th grade person is kind of less knowledgeable, and that individual is asking you to spend more time from your busy schedule to understand what they are trying to convey to you. It doesn't work well in the real world. Learn to communicate. Learn to communicate both your thoughts and actions. There are no two ways about it. Communication is an art where you have to practice it. Practice it with no shame. Also remember, people don't frown on you if you make a grammatical mistake. If you mix tenses, if you mix the singular versus plural, you don't worry about it too much. Of course, as you get deeper into your career, you may have to fix all those things, but precise communication without any shyness. That's very important. The last one is, any job can be done by 1,000 people. If somebody is going to work with you, they need to have some level of comfort to work with you. You may hear this term in a very fancy term called networking, because you will never be the only person who is going to solve the problem. At any point in time, they will always have choices. Among the choices, which one would you like to choose? Usually the human mind go towards, you know what, I know this person, I know this person's style of working, I know this person, how they think under the stress, I know how the person thinks when there is a problem. Let me choose. There are cases where it doesn't have to happen, but networking is very important. They need to know how you are going to react. Getting to know a person in the middle of the crisis is the worst thing that can happen to all the people. You don't want to be in the situation. So if I have to summarize the three things: engineering mindset, communication, and networking. Networking doesn't mean that I'm asking you to go suck up to your boss, suck up to your peers. No. Networking means making sure that they know what your reputation is, what you are made up of, what your brand is, what you stand up for. That will be very important. So these are the main three things. Then there is one other thing I always bring up. Whenever I bring up in some forums, they look at me like a crazy person, but I'll say it. Courage of conviction. Make no mistake, you own your career. If you have an idea, there is no one else going to defend your idea. You should have the courage of conviction to stand for your ideas. If you are having a design session, or if you are having an architecture session, or if you are having a thought process on how to solve a problem, if you have an idea for process, you should have the courage of conviction. Courage of conviction doesn't mean that you need to be a very arrogant person or very abrasive. I'm not saying that. Courage of conviction. If you don't stand up for your ideas and defend it, nobody else will. Same thing. If you don't own your career, there is no one else is going to lose their sleep to make you successful in your career. It's you. You own your career, you own your ideas, you have your courage of conviction. Courage of conviction can always go both ways, but there is no way out. The ancillary or secondary thing you can derive from courage of conviction is you will get judged. Every single working minute of your life, somebody is going to judge you. If you have courage of conviction, you wouldn't be bothered by getting judged. Be prepared to get judged. You judge everyone, so will everyone judge you. So get used to getting judged, but that shouldn't affect your thought process because you have courage of conviction. Since you have courage of conviction, you have your ideas, and then since you have good communication, you can communicate clearly, and you have good network, so they know how you are going to solve the problems. Then they know that you have a good engineering mindset. This is the good combination of how to grow your career, regardless of the industry you choose, regardless of what you want to do, whether you want to be a CRISPR gene slicing scientist in the future, or you want to be a logistics person. You need to have this. There are no two ways about it. Coming from a rural background, it will be challenging for you to get these things overnight. You have to work on it. You have to get used to getting punched on the face. You will take things that are communicated to you. It is very easy to feel insulted. When somebody says, hey, you spoke fast. Can you please repeat? Oh, that's what you meant. I was lost in the accent. Don't take it as a personal insult. Never. It is going to happen. Every human being on the planet Earth has an accent. Some accents are more acceptable compared to others. It doesn't matter. Never give up your courage of conviction. That's the central piece on which the whole career is going to be spun up. If you come across as a person who is going to give up on your ideas easily, you know the result. You'll become a doormat. So engineering mindset, communication, networking, courage of conviction, with the ability to get judged or get a mindset to accept getting judged. So these are the things.
Super.
I will not say you need to know how to solve a triple integral with the crazy things. You can hire people to do that. You don't have to be that person. I'll pass here, Vish.
Yeah, thanks, Satyan. I think you covered a lot of points. I think networking is one I want to emphasize because a lot of people, particularly youngsters, think that if they have a good degree from a good college and have some good skills, they can succeed. And I can tell from my experience, my good degree and good college wasn't worth much when you go out to the real world. What helped? What helped me? I mean, I'm not putting down CEG or anything. CEG is a wonderful college, wonderful place. I went to school in the US, wonderful University of New York also. But what is reality when you go to the real world is that, your degree, your education is all only going to take you somewhere. When I say networking, getting to know people, working with people who may not agree with you, reaching out to more people. I mean, the more people you have in your primary network, secondary network, the more successful you're going to be. Now, these kind of sessions, for example, when I create a session like this, my idea is for students and alumni to have a platform to network, not just with the speaker, but with each other. It is getting there slowly, not fast enough. I can tell you, not fast enough, but it's getting there. So the key message again to all of you is that networking is key. Try the best to use every opportunity available to you to network with everyone, and networking with senior people like Satyan, it's going to help you in many ways. You can get ideas from them, you can get advice from them, guidance from them, help from them, anything from them. If you are a startup in logistics, hey, it's possible that you have a good idea, you want to pitch to Satyan. He may think it's a good idea and then support you on that. All that is only possible if you know who to go to. If you are not going to network, you won't get that. That's very, very important that I want to communicate that networking is key to success, particularly for those who are students and young alumni. People like me right now don't feel at a network because I'm networked enough in life. But still, even now, I reach out to people because I want to know things that I don't know, right? So it is important. Satyan, I think what we'll do now is that we'll go to some questions because people have asked some questions. So I'm going to
Oh,
read
is
the
it? Okay.
first question is from someone anonymous. I don't know who that is. Some interesting memories which you have in CEG.
There are a lot of memories. Okay, I'll start with something very silly and stupid that happened on day number 2. Okay, like I said, very nervous when I entered into batch A of first year. Uh, it was all predominantly computer science and ECE. They go by those brands. I don't know how they do it now. And physics professor Armugam, he was taking a roll call, and I was just looking around, and I just missed the roll call. Missed the roll call, and then it was not just me and 3 other folks. So after the class, he stood outside. So we all went to him. Hey, sir, I was there. I didn't say. He asked me, "What were you doing?" So I was just looking at him, giving him a blank stare, because I was trying to phrase the whole sentence in English about what I'm going to respond. Because those days I was going through the transliteration process. You form a sentence in Tamil, translate it to English, and to make sure that you are not spewing out in a jumbled way to make it look like you are talking like Yoda. If you are a Star Wars fan, you would understand what talking like Yoda is. Like a blank stare for 30 seconds, and he said, like, he was just gesturing. I said, like, I was daydreaming. That was my answer. He looked at me. What did he say? You were daydreaming? Because that was the only word that came to my mind. So from that point onwards, for the next 2 semesters, I was called a dreamer. So this is how I started, and it went on. But that's on the comical side. But on the serious side, CEG always gives me memories about when I went through all the campus interviews. They would give you tests. Usually, there were some of us who would clear every single written test. Yes, okay, what can you do? You're good in math, you can think logically. I cleared every single test. 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. But when the interview time happens, like I just can't speak to save my life. It happened like 3 or 4 times. Then pulled back and then thought about it, and then adjusted certain things to get through. So from day 1 till the day I got my job, I was always reminded of how important the communication was. So that's on the whole serious side. Funny memory side, I played cricket. Many of us from the second year onwards, the small pitch next to the Vivek Adi, we controlled it. Whether we attend any labs or classes doesn't matter. We all will show up at like 5 o'clock and we'll play rubber ball cricket. Unbelievable. And it has gotten to a point where inter-department matches were conducted. Some of us will remember, I'll say this, there was a debate going on in our 1992 batch. ECE was the champion for the interdepartmental matches, because we played against everybody. Finally, it was a match between collective departments and ECE. I scored 52 runs not out, and I pulled Venkatesh to on the countryside for a 4 to win the match for us. I think Babu played on the other side. Babu didn't talk to me for 2 days, if I remember it right. They were so close in winning the match, and then that would be one of the very interesting things. But a lot of memories about the messes, a lot of memories about the Vivek Adis and the movies they screen. Gandhi Mandapam. I traveled to Gandhi Mandapam last year. I didn't see all the tea shops. Taking a long walk from 3rd block or 9th block all the way to Gandhi Mandapam, unbelievable. The tea, strong tea with butter biscuits, awesome. Of course, cafeteria dosa is another one. So lot of memories, lot of memories. Okay, Vish, back to you, Vish. Is there any other question?
Yeah, the next question. I have a few more questions out of the line. The question is from N. Ramakrishnan. Ramakrishnan, do you want to unmute and ask your question, please?
Yeah, sure. Nice talking to both of you. I am from 74 Guindy Mechanical.
Mhm.
And say when I joined DHL, you won't believe they put me in computers on day one. The only one best thing I did was some Fortran 4, some program I wrote in college, IBM 1620, right? So then somehow now they gave me some books and COBOL. I have to read everything by myself. And one major problem I had to face was how to update technically by yourself. So I'm not sharing how I manage that, but I wanted to hear from you because you went abroad. How you managed in UPS or any other company? How you technically became the IT head? Okay, so you should have done a lot of homework at home. So I wanted to hear from you.
Okay, thank you.
Narayanan, thank you for joining the call. It's always a pleasure to talk to the seniors and then engage with them. Okay, I'll take the question. There is no direct answer for this, but I'll tell you what I do. Okay, uh, even now, I code occasionally. I can still code in Python. I can code in R. I can code in .NET. I can code in Java. For lots of years, I coded in COBOL, CSS, DB2, IMS. I still code. As recently as last year, I downloaded the forecasting mechanism. The open source library is called the Prophet, supported by Facebook. Pulled it in, and then so I code. But I am not putting my company at risk by putting the code I write into production. I won't do that because that's considered intentional harm. But I still code. But I do enough things to make sure that I'm familiar. That's one part. But there is another thing I have been doing for 20 years. Okay, call me paranoid, call me insecure, whatever you want to call. I write my resume every 3 months. I write my resume every 3 months. So, and my resume is always 2 pages long, not more, not less, just 2 pages long. And Wish, if you want, I can pass on my resume to you. I can
Please.
pass on the resume to you so that you all can take a look at it.
Please.
The act of writing your resume every 3 months it's a simple rule for me. If I write something very similar in 2 successive iterations of my resume, I am getting stale. Technology world is evolving so rapidly, you need to do something. So for the past 20 years, I have consistently done something to keep adding stuff. What did I do last year? Okay, YOLO. Have you heard about YOLO? You only look once. Google, YouTube it. YOLO is a open source neural network thing you can download and then make it learn to recognize the object you want. I downloaded and then got a GPU processor and then made it recognize packages and things like that. I was coding. So like this, I can go back. How did I get into different forms of ETL, whether it is data stage or talent or SSIS? Every 6 months, I always added something. But at the executive level, you might not add those kind of things to your resume, but you know what you're writing. Whether it is a new business process or whether it is a new problem you are trying to solve, if you let yourselves go stale, you will not provide value to the organization. Being valuable to the organization is always the key, where the new opportunities will come, where you will be challenged with more and more things. So my thing is, I write my resume every 3 months. Every 3 months. And always keep in touch with technology.
Yeah.
And if I don't know, and the most important thing is I work extremely close with the interns and 1 or 2 year experienced people. When there was no COVID, I always have lunch with them. I just go out for drinks because when you are interacting with them, they make you feel young, first of all. they are the best, and it gives them an opportunity to interact with me. So that's what I do. I'm not saying that's universal. We have to figure out a way that will remind us in a very painful way that we are getting stale. Then you will take action.
Yeah,
Thank,
that's excellent. Thank you,
thank,
Satya.
thank you,
Thank you.
Satya. The next question from Prakash. Prakash, do you want to unmute and ask your question, please?
Yeah, hi Satya, nice to connect with you. We are a CEG startup doing advanced data engineering products and services. So looking forward to hear from you on what is the best way to connect with you to demo our capabilities.
So do me a favor, send me a message in LinkedIn with this conversation quoted. I will give you audience and bring in the right groups so to hear what you guys are doing. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
The next question.
Remember, one question. I just want to touch on that again. The industry academy startup relationship is a symbiotic relationship. Make no mistake. No one organization can outthink every single other competition in the world. We need sources of input. So we are always on the lookout to talk to people. I actually talk to external folks slightly more than I talk to my internal folks. Because at our level, I need to be looking ahead. I need to be standing on top of the mountain to see who is coming after us, what ideas are coming in, because I'm not going to be handling day-to-day activities and shoveling coal. So you will be surprised how easy it is for you all to get access to me rather than some of the internal folks.
Super. That is exactly what we need to hear, Satya. That's exactly what we need to hear, because people need to have access to senior folks freely, and they should be able to benefit from that. Exactly the purpose of this program, precisely. So next question is coming from Bhupalan Ganesan. Bhupalan, do you want to unmute and ask your question, please?
Thanks, Vish, and thanks, Satyan, for giving me the opportunity. So the question is, so how much integral are SAP technologies in the IT fabric of UPS? I know that UPS is always on the forefront when it comes to embracing new technologies, especially from the SAP world. And where do you stand with respect to the SAP technologies?
We are not a big SAP shop. We are not a big SAP shop. For our enterprise grade stuff, we are into Oracle Financials for the backend, and we have a Workday stuff like that to manage our resources. But we are not a big SAP shop, and we are actually. It may sound very surprising for our core small package operations, the way we do stuff and the scale at which we do, and the way we run our business. There are not many how to say it in a very polite. There are not many enterprise grade software that's available for what we do, and many times what we try is the first time, and by the time it gets mature, we may look at like 100 things, and then only like 3 things might be actually working, and we'll be throwing it out. So that's what it is. So, but wherever possible, we try to use the software provided to us by somebody else. If we don't have to write, we will not write. But the kind of things we do, many times we are the only ones who are trying and exploring.
So the reason why I asked this, I know that somewhere in 2016, 2017, where I was also working for SAP, there was an innovation program in which we partnered together with UPS in developing something. Yeah. So this is why this was the background for me for asking this question. And the other aspect of this is you also mentioned that you are shipping so many packets, in the order of a couple of millions per day, and this is quite natural that you might want to use SAP technologies. This was the reason why I posted this question.
Absolutely. Also, remember, we are a big conglomerate. There are so many business units. There may be opportunities for different products. And if I say we are not a SAP shop, always take it with a pinch of salt. I may find out that there is a small business unit we acquired in Romania might be using SAP, or the purchase of a company we brought in, they may have a SAP. But for our small package, the big brown operations, we actually don't have a lot of enterprise grade commercially available off-the-shelf software, because the way we dispatch, the way we manage our resources, we very different from everybody else.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thanks for clarifying, Stin.
Next question, Satya, is coming from Suhas Verma. Suhas, do you want to ask your question? Unmuting yourself, please. Suhas?
Yeah, I can read this question. What do you feel about logistics startups like Dunzo and Zepto? Do you see them as a threat to UPS?
Yep.
So, I am not directly familiar with these two specific startups you are referring to, but we know that the logistics is changing. Like I said, this is one of the oldest professions in the world, and a lot of companies are trying to solve the logistics problem, the first mile problem, middle mile problem, last mile problem. So there are a lot of individual companies that are trying to solve a very particular thing, and then do we consider every one of them as competitors? We consider every single new idea that can disrupt the world of logistics is a thing that can disrupt us, because the complacency, if an organization gets into complacency, they will cease to exist. The fact that we survived for 117 years, we actually look at every single thing, constantly monitoring to see what we can do. And we have ATG groups, we have like advanced technologies groups, and then we have ventures. We always constantly look at how we can keep on innovating ourselves. We might not be specifically focused on, hey, let us see what that particular startup is doing, but we have information that a lot of people are trying to solve the problem. Many will succeed, many will not. We are also having an angle to solve all those problems. So yes, the answer is I don't know the specific startups, but we are extremely aware that there is plenty of people who want to solve the problem for logistics, because the logistics has become cool in the last 3 years. With all the things that are going on, I can say that logistics has become cool. There is like a extreme interest in the amount of venture capital investment going into logistics is unbelievable in the last few years. We are extremely aware of that, and we are prepared.
So next question, Satya, is from Ravi Chandran. Ravi Chandran, do you want to ask a question about UPS Ventures?
Yeah, hi. This is Ravi. Probably 2-3 years senior to you. Not very old that way. Yeah.
You're all old, Ravi.
IT guy, typical IT guy, Bangalore. I started my career in Bangalore and all that. Yeah, just an overview I wanted about UPS Ventures from the point of view of, I guess you're not logistics specific alone from what little I know. But from my experience, most of the things that are said in the website and all that, you will have some 10-20% some about information which is not exactly publicly shared and all that. Not confidential, but something which is in the background and what is coming and all that stuff. I would like to hear about that, please.
So UPS Ventures is a small group in our corporate where we actively look at emerging technologies and the small companies that are trying to change the world, which will eventually either benefit us or like benefit the whole world. So we invest in those companies, and several companies they can come, and there is an independent board where they will hear the proposal, and then UPS will choose to invest in them or not. I am not aware of we investing 100% in any one particular company, but we do have a small venture capitalistic arm where we invest in technologies that may be symbiotic with what we do. In some cases, that may be kind of extremely future looking, and that may be a new business line. So there were small subsidiaries that came out of that, and we provide guidance, and then we invest in them. And then investment levels vary depending on what is listened, but we do have a VC arm. And a few years back, me and my boss, he was the board observer for one of the things, and we went to New York City, and then we visited them. And many of us, we have a secondary assignment to look into these kind of companies when we invest in them. So we will be independent board observers and provide guidance and manage it. So,
Right.
Ravi, if you want to know more about it, ping me separately.
Sure. We are already connected on LinkedIn. I'll
Okay.
send you a ping there on LinkedIn.
Okay. Okay. If you guys are
Thank
looking
you.
to pitch something, I'll see what I can do. Okay. I'm not promising anything, but I can make only the contacts for that.
Ravi, when you're pinging Satyan, make a reference to this particular session so he knows where the question is coming
Yeah.
from.
Definitely, yeah. I'll do that. Normally also, and especially I'll ensure that. Thanks. Thanks,
Yeah.
Rishi.
Because,
So next question, Satyan, is coming from Praveen. Praveen, do you want to ask a question about giving back to CEG? So Satyan, the question is, what do you think the best way to giving back to CEG?
So, a couple of things. Giving back to see, this is the step one, where like I'm offering my time, and we have some ideas about. See, there are a lot of endowments. There are a lot of things where you can fund small things to help students in need. I'm still going through the act of how can I give it back to CEG, but I had to circle back. But the step one I have taken is taking the call from Vish and say, you know what, let me come back. So this is the step one. I hope this step one will help me to take further steps so that the contribution can be meaningful to CEG students.
So on the same token, somebody asked a question, anonymous. Would you like to come to CEG as a chief guest for some festival when invited? Who's asking the question now? Before I ask, who's asking the question? I want to know who asked the question. Would be interesting to know who's asking the question.
Shouldn't that be an honor?
Should that what? No, I'm just asking. No, it's definitely an honor for Satyan. I'm asking who's asking the question actually.
So, I would love to, but the only challenge is
Distance.
not that I can attend any video calls, no problem. If I have to be there in person, the travel has to be coordinated. I do see before COVID, I visit India at least 3-4 times every year. I just come there for a week, a couple of days with my family, a couple of days with our partners all over the place, and I go and then meet with them and then fly back. So I do visit India often. So I am honored to come in, but it's only the timing. But you won't believe, like 2 years back, I brought me and my boss, everybody. We were in Chennai, and then they wanted to see Marina Beach. I took them to the front gates of Anna University. We took pictures, but we were not allowed to drive in. Like,
Touche.
so they said like, no, you have to walk all the way. I have some challenges with my knee, so I was not prepared to walk. I am not young anymore. I said like, thank you. Then I tried all the different gates. I went to the side Kotruppuram gate. The answer was same. No.
Bro,
Go back.
Next
slido.com
time
போங்க.
Satyan you go there, just give me a call. You will get inside. No worries. Just give me a call.
Okay,
You
நீ
will be getting inside very.
slido.com
No
போ.
visa
அதுல வந்து
required
ஒரு
to go to CEG
கோட் இருக்கு,
anymore.
நான்
No
சொல்றேன்,
visa
அப்படியே நீ டைப்
required.
பண்ணு.
Definitely.
So next question is coming
870
from another anonymous. It was great hearing from you, sir.
467.
What is the best way to connect in person with you?
In person, I am not sure because I travel a lot. See, even during pandemic, I travel like 20 weeks a year. I travel a lot, so
வந்துச்சாடா?
best way is LinkedIn. I'm very active.
அதுல
In person,
Q&A ஒரு tab
my
இருக்கும் பாரு.
schedule, I don't even know my schedule.
அதுல
Pandemic affects a lot of things, and then
அதுக்கு முன்னாடி
I'll tell you, like I was in Germany in the second week of November. If you happen to be in Germany, you could have met me.
I would like to ask
And I was in
கூட
Virginia,
அவரு
and
பார்த்துட்டு
I travel a lot. So catching hold of me in person will be a challenge. But I live in New Jersey. I live in New Jersey, Morris Plains. So chances are very high that I am going to be in Morris Plains on Saturdays and Sundays. Chances are very high. And I've been going to work every day for the past 14 months. I never stayed away. The whole building is kind of me, and we formed a very good relationship with the security guards. They love me because there are only 3 of us in the entire building, and mostly 1,000 people. So it's all good. So in person, it depends, but touch. But I would like to know why in person. Why is that? Like, do you guys want to know how I look? Is this a video filter or like I look the same?
வந்திருக்கா? நீ வந்து லெஃப்ட்ல வந்து ஓகே
Okay. And if you guys come to New Jersey, stop by. I can always figure out a way to meet with you. Okay.
If Satyan, maybe what you could do is, in addition to asking people to come to you on LinkedIn, if you are okay, you can share your email address. People can write if you're okay with that. Some of my previous guests have shared their email address, some didn't. Depends on your convenience. If you want to share your email address, that people can write to you. It's not any different from LinkedIn, but if you want
So
to do that,
I'll
we can.
do this. So if I give my general email, I get way too many emails. So maybe
Correct.
I'll create a CEG Connect only email in Gmail, and I'll give it to you guys so that I
Ah,
know whoever has this, that's only CEG. It's
that's
not.
it.
I'm not going to be spammed by you. So I'll do that. Okay.
Uh,
I'll create a
actu-
special.
uh,
Yeah.
Actually, guys, in the CEG Connect portal, one of the things we are working on to release very soon is the ability to do a asynchronous chat with the speakers. So after Satyan's session is over, we are going to create a chat session like a WhatsApp session,
Mhm.
but people can communicate with Satyan without having to go through LinkedIn or email, etc. All that. This is like a private WhatsApp session with Satyan. That
Mhm.
functionality is about to be released. Partha is working on it. I don't know how far we've gotten with that, but that's something that we can offer, whereby all the participants can interact with you, Satyan, via a asynchronous messaging platform. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Next question comes from Harini. Harini, can you please unmute and ask the question?
Hello, sir. So I am Harini, 2019 pass out from CEG. So I wanted to know your view about the startup ecosystem and the new frenzy that is going on right now, where everyone wants to be a part of a startup, indirectly or directly. Have you also wanted to be a part of any startup yourself with this new trend going on?
Good question.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you,
question,
Vishnu.
Harini. Unfortunately, I may not have sufficient insights based on my experience to answer that question in a honest way. If I answer, because I am a centralized corporate kind of person for so many years, have looked into these kind of startups from a distance, assess them, but my view would be not truthful if I give my opinion. It's like you can Google it and find out. So I am sorry I cannot answer because I don't know enough about that. Because well, the only person who can answer that is, been part of a couple of startups or gone through the experience and coming out, compare and contrast a couple of things they have done in their life. I don't have that experience to answer your question. I'm sorry.
No, I think fair enough. I think Satyan actually is honest about it. Harini, what you could do is there are a couple of WhatsApp groups that we have for CG entrepreneurs and CG startups.
Right.
These are WhatsApp groups that are very very active, where we have CG entrepreneurs, CG investors, and CG mentors who very routinely every day exchange a lot of information. They're willing to help each other, willing to help others also. So I think I would
But
advise you.
see, to that point, Vish, we are all part of a group called the Gindi Angels. There's a lot of startup people. I
Yeah.
am in that group to learn. I'm not there to contribute. I'm learning by looking at all the posts. So maybe some of those folks may be helpful to you, but I'm sorry, it's not me.
No, I think Satyan are being too humble. I think Gindi Angels is another WhatsApp group. Gindi
Mhm.
Angels actually is a angel network of Gindi
Mhm.
alumni in the US. There are, I think, 34 of us who are investors in Gindi Angels. So
Mhm.
we have a separate Slack platform where we communicate as investors. But in addition to the Slack channel, we also have a WhatsApp group which consists of more than just the investors. I think we have close to 200 plus CEGNs who are not all investors but who are part of the Gindi Angels WhatsApp group, where you can get to know about startup things, what is the latest trend, what is going on, etc. All that. We also work with each other. So there are startups from Gindi who work with startups in Gindi as well. They become vendors, partners, customers, etc. All that. So I would highly recommend you guys who are interested in this to join one of those two WhatsApp groups. If you don't know which WhatsApp group, please send me a note. I will connect you to the WhatsApp group and put you in the list. In terms of whether it is a good idea to be a startup, it's a very difficult question. So I can tell you, as an angel investor, I see a lot of startups every day. I see people who are very young to very old, and all of them want to be a startup. I don't see there is any special qualification required to be a startup, to be honest. If you have an idea and if you are very confident about your idea and you want to try it, I think you can do a startup immediately. There is nothing sexy about being a startup or not being a startup. people have this feeling that if I'm part of the startup, I'm something great. Well, you can be great, you cannot be great also. It doesn't really matter. Now being in a startup has become a big talking point now. I know a lot of youngsters in Siege when I can say, "Sir, I'm a startup company." I said, "Okay, congratulations. What have you done exactly?" So it is not about a badge of honor as much of giving a try. My general advice to all youngsters, again, Hatil, I'm not trying to steal your thunder here. My general advice to all youngsters, as an angel investor and as a senior, is that I think all of you should try to work in a professional environment for some years before you do a startup. When you come out of college, honestly, we don't know much about real world. When you don't know much about real world, trying to start a business is very difficult because you don't know what a business looks like. When you go and work for some company, small, big, large, medium, whatever size it is, wherever in the world, you get to understand things that you are not taught in college. Things like working with people, things like processes, things like working towards a certain schedule, etc. All that. Without those basic skills which are not taught in college, starting a startup may not be a good idea. So my advice to you is that work for a couple of years in some company, learn how businesses work, and then by all means work on your idea and do a startup after that. But jumping into startup right after college may not be the best idea. Okay, my 2 cents, Satya, for the day.
No problem. No problem.
So next question is from Babu Srinivasan, your friend. Did you get a chance to meet Steffi and Andre Agassi in person, please?
Unfortunately, no.
Bold at you.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. And there's a history because he knows. I like both Pete Sampras and Agassi, and then I go back and forth. No, Babu, I did not. I was now I'm a big ardent fan of Rafael Nadal. I don't want to start a controversy on this call. And I was this close in meeting with him year before last year, but he chose not to participate in the US Open, so I couldn't.
Okay.
But one of my bucket list items is to go to French Open and then see him play. I don't know how whether I can make it.
Okay.
Not joking.
So thanks. The last question is from Deepak. Deepak, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, sir. So, good evening, all. Thank you so much for this interactive session, sir. So, personally, for the students who just completed our graduation from CEG, and so we have kind of tendency to like if we our dreams are getting drifted from time to time. When I was in college, I was totally into this coding thing. I was totally exposed to this competitive programming. Well, basically, I'm from computer science graduate, so I was totally into this kind of thing. When and at the final years, I get an opportunity to be the student president. So I represented the college CEG, and we conducted Agni Tech Opus and a lot of stuff. When I was being with this kind of roles, I was totally into people's person. So now I'm in the situation where how I should proceed further, sir, because I'm totally into this kind of investing, like getting pitch in ideas. I was also part of startup vehicles for 3 years, and I also totally interested in creating something from scratch. At the same time, I was also fascinated by ML and recent technologies. So I was totally confused whenever I saw new things. My dreams are getting drifted from time to time, sir. So how could we trust ourselves and move forward, sir? So that is the one thing I
Good
just wanted
question.
to get from.
Good question.
So very, very good question. Matram Manidatham. Okay. If you don't keep getting these kind of thoughts and then keep refining and getting excited at the new things coming to you, you are not ambitious. Make no mistake. You're not ambitious. It is quite normal to see something and then getting excited about that, and then see whether you should follow that versus follow something you have been following. So we call that chasing the butterflies. Okay, it is perfectly all right to chase the butterflies, but chasing the butterflies cannot become your life. You look at it and assess it and get back. But if you don't even assess it, you would not know. But you can't be chasing butterflies all the time. But looking for butterflies, keeping you excited about things is the one that will make you tick throughout your career. Throughout your personal life, let's learn to control it, but never to kill it. Because if you stop looking at things that are exciting, the career will not be exciting. You will be holden, and then it will be too rigid to move away. So keep up that spirit, but learn to tame and control that beast within you.
Yes, sir.
That's all I can say. But don't ever give that up. Even me saying like write the resume every 3 months, 6 months. If you look at it, these are all the things of okay. I looked at YOLO. I did coding, but am I going to introduce such a thing in UPS? Hell no, because you don't want to introduce a video detection technology to detect fire. There are better things you can use to detect fire. What can you do with the video detection? Yeah, there are some applications. So you always chase, never go too deep into only chasing butterflies. But definitely chase butterflies all the time. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much for these enlightenment words, sir. Definitely, I will work it on it, and surely.
So, Satyan, we have one more question left in the queue. But before I ask that question, I want to ask you about Rajinikanth. You're a big Rajinikanth fan, a first day, first show guy. Tell us a minute about that, please.
So I'm going to take a psychological trip into this, okay? So declaring publicly that you are an ardent fan of an actor who gets paid to the role, okay? Think about it. That's you are subjecting to a public judgment. Is that right? Like it can always go one way or the other. However, those simple things will tell everybody that I am not afraid of expressing my true self.
Correct.
I exactly know what I like. I am if I can't publicly come and say, oh, I like the terrorist. No, that's unethical, that's wrong. But with respect to performing arts or with respect to what kind of food I like, I don't care. And make no mistake, when somebody says they are a fan of Rajinikanth, there will be a lot of people who are lined up to say, what's wrong with you? He's not an actor. Like, he doesn't speak Tamil. Like, oh, come on. Like, it's okay. It's my preference. I have the courage of conviction to admit that I am an ardent Rajinikanth fan. I am not looking at Rajinikanth to teach me how to run my life. I am not expecting Rajinikanth to teach me how to run my business or person. No, I like him. I like his screen presence. I have no shame in standing up and then whistling. Oh gosh, we went even the crappiest movies. I go there. I actually took my boss to Rajinikanth movie. Okay, Petai. When Peta was released, I told him, hey, you know what? Tomorrow I'm not able to speak. He said, like, why? Are you sick or something? No, I'm going to a movie today. He said, like, going to movie today, and why you won't be able to speak? Oh, I'll be standing there and screaming for 3 hours, so I'm going to lose my voice. He said, come on, no. Like, you'll be disturbing other people. I said, like, yeah, that's the intent. Like, so won't you understand the dialogue? I said, oh, I'll understand the dialogue when I see the movie for the 7th time. I don't care for the dialogues. So he got so curious. He said, you know what, Satyan, come on, let us go. So I took my boss to Peta. And like, a couple of people are wondering, like, oh, he's not going. Oh, no, there are subtitles, but you know, who cares? So we went to Peta, and I was standing there and screaming, and he was looking at me. He might have formed a very crazy opinion about me on that day. I said, like, I don't care. This doesn't mean what I do at work, but this is what I am. At the end of the movie, he asked me a question, which I am still scratching my head. He said, like, Satyan, yeah, I have a question about the Indian movies. I said, like, don't ask me why we dance, why we sing. I'm tired of answering those questions. He's like, no. See, whenever Rajinikanth comes and smokes or drinks, there is a warning at the bottom of the screen saying smoking is injurious to health, drinking is injurious to health. I was like, yeah, that's a statutory warning. We are so health conscious that we have to put it. He said, like, yeah, I get it, but he takes out guns and the knives and then kills thousands of people. No warning about that. Like, shouldn't you have a warning for that? Also, I said, like, that's a great question. But like, but it was, and then he became a Rajinikanth fan. So every time we talk, oh, is there a new movie coming up? So, I'm a big fan of Rajinikanth, and I don't know why. I think it resonates, and it got into a point where I don't know how many of you know this. There is an industry institution collaboration center in IIT Madras Taramani campus. Okay, And they all know me that I'm a big Rajinikanth fan. So the TCS, they took me to that IIT Industry Collaboration Center. They have a room called a Talaivar Room. Check it out. Talaivar Room is a room facilitated by IIT Madras and several industries, where every room has Rajinikanth pictures from Badshah, Padayappa, and other movies. I asked them, like, what is this about? They said, rags to riches. You have an idea, you work hard at it, against odds, you are going to win. So I took several, even the Padayappa Unjal was there. I sat there and took a picture. So if you are in Chennai, maybe you should visit it. So Talaivar Room in IIT Madras Taramani campus, Industry Collaboration Center.
I have not been there, Satya. I have never been there. I had to go and see.
You can post it. I'll send you my pictures in Talaivar Room in IIT Madras.
Super. So one last question before the end of the day from Arvind Lochanan. Arvind, can you please ask your question?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Sir, I am Arvind Lochanan, just pursuing ECA at NIST CAG campus. Sir, I actually
I am having difficulty in hearing you, Arvind. Can you please
speak up?
Sir, am I audible now, sir?
Yes, you are. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yes, that's okay, sir. Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, sir. I am Arvind Lochanan, pursuing ECE second year, and right now at CAG campus, sir.
What hostel?
Sir?
What hostel?
Right now, I'm back home, sir, due to COVID lockdown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
But previously, I was staying in Kurunji, sir.
Oh, Kurunji, I don't know. Maybe.
No, it is a very recent one, sir. It's a new.
Oh, okay.
It's a new hostel, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I actually had two questions, sir. First one is, sir, you were mentioning that you were traveling a lot the last year, sir, last 2 years. You mentioned about traveling from Germany to Virginia and places. How did you get your plane tickets, sir, at the time of lockdown?
Actually, traveling within US, there is technically not a lockdown for me. Like I said, we are considered a critical infrastructure for the entire world. And I run operations, and we facilitate moving vaccines, and also we were asked to be careful. Hey, don't expose yourselves to unwanted risk. But I traveled a lot. Me and my boss, we traveled a lot. So the airlines were still operating, and there was no restriction. But there were some periods where I couldn't go to Europe because it was a complete lockdown. We were not violating any lockdown policies, but when the countries were open for business, it's up to us. As long as I feel comfortable that I am not putting myself at risk or others at risk, I can travel. I am vaccinated along with the boosters, travel with a lot of precautions. So if the airlines are flying, I can fly.
Yes, sir. Because that was quite surprising, sir. Yes, and I have a second question, sir. Sir, actually, I'm interested. I have a career, field of interest in one which is actually upcoming, sir, which is basically robotics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So, is it like it is obviously a risk to choose a course that is actually taking its pathway right now? So, how do I proceed to be successful in that specific field?
See, that's a very loaded question, Arvind, because even the world of machine learning and robotics, what kind of problems are going to be solved by the robotics and machine learning vary by industry. Whatever you do with robotics here at UPS, the way we use robots and the machine learning will be just a foundational and fundamental, but it might not be applicable when you are going into some other industry where they need robots. So to me, robots and the machine learning are tools. I'm going to quote Rajinikanth, the Katti Buddhi la vechirundha pathada. So they are tools. You need to find the industry that will make you passionate, because industries will choose the right tools to change it. So now we are all talking about the data, machine learning, robots. Maybe 20 years down the line, it might be something different. But the industry and the services that are provided may continue to evolve. So my advice would be, choose the industry you want to, that will be very near and dear to your heart, and robots and machine learning are just tools to me. Don't fall in love with the tool. You can, it's up to you. But I always use tools as tools. I remember one of my classmates attending an interview. His name is Ravi Kumar. He's now the CIO for American Express. I remember very well. Somebody asked him in the interview, hey, what programming language you like the most? He said, like, none. Why? It's a tool. I am not going to be falling in love with my screwdriver or a scale or ruler. It's a tool. Never fall in love with a tool. So to me, robotics, robots, and machine learning are tools. Yes, you can be very passionate about it, but choose the industry you are going to like it for life, or choose a couple of industries. That will be my advice.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Wish you are mute. You are muted.
Questions are done, Satyan. It's a very good session. We had a lot of interactive sessions. We also had a lot of participants, a lot of student participants this time. So clearly the communications using is working. It's still not good enough. I want to have all CG students come to the session. So my request to all of you who are attending the session today, whether you're alumni or students, two things. One is please provide us feedback. This program was constructed by me along with a few other people. We didn't know what information would be relevant. So we're just starting off with what we think is relevant. Having been in the program for the last 6-7 weeks, whoever has attended the program, please send us feedback whichever way you want, by WhatsApp or email, whichever way you want. We would like to hear a feedback saying what is working, what is not working, what can be done better, etc. All that. Second thing I would say is that please inform your colleagues, friends, etc. because a lot of people are still not being reachable. As I said, that none of our organizations in CEG, the alumni associations or the alumni centers or alumni groups, etc., none of them seem to have a global set of alumni database. So we are very restricted in how we communicate. I try my best to communicate through every single WhatsApp group I am aware of and do it that way, but that is not enough. So I want all of your help, your own batchmates, your own classmates, your own friends, colleagues, etc. If you could please spread the message. If they don't want to join, that's okay. At least they can be told there is a program available. And what is going to be coming out of the program is up to how you take it. Now, Satyan is going to spend an hour and go away. I'm going to spend an hour and go away. What is going to be effective is what you take out of this session. If you got something out of the session, fantastic. If you didn't, too bad. But at least tell others there's a session available like this. Even if you don't have value, somebody else might get the value. And as Satyan said correctly, even if you can make a difference in one person's decision making, that is still one better than zero. Right? So towards that, I want all of you to consider helping us by promoting this program. I would like to see more and more people coming onto the program. I have lined up, get this, 344 guests so far. 344 CEG C-level people. If I do one a month, I'll do it for the next 100 years actually. I want to increase the frequency to more than once a month. I want to do it once in 2 weeks. There are so many C-level people in from CEG all over the world. It's not even funny. It's amazing. Number of venture capitalists, number of entrepreneurs, number of presidents, CEOs, CFOs, CIOs in various global corporations and Indian corporations, in public life, bureaucrats. It is an unbelievable list. Sadly, no institution in CEG has that list. Then when you go and ask people how many people are at top positions in CEG, I don't think anybody is going to give you that list. For your information, I'll tell you, if I ask you how many people from CEG alumni have gotten a Padma Bhushan, a Padma Vibhushan, a Padma Shri awards, nobody knows it. I asked the VC, the Vice Chancellor, 2 weeks ago, do you know? He said, I have no idea what you're asking. He had no idea. There are 23 CEG alumni who are Padma Shri or Padma Bhushan or Padma Vibhushan awardees. And there are 3 CEGians who got all 3 awards, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan. We don't recognize that. We are not aware of that. We are not proud of that because we just don't know about it. So my only mandate in this program is to let people know what we have. I'm not discovering anything. I'm just letting people know what is already available there. I'm not inventing. I'm not going after things. Whatever is already available, I'm just trying to bring it out. People can know. So this is the purpose of this program, is to motivate, inspire, provide an opportunity to network and work with each other. To that extent, I think we are doing a recent job, but I would like to hear your feedback. What I think, what Partha thinks is not necessarily the answer. What you guys think is what we need to hear. So please send us your feedback. Please let us know what is working, what is not working, and please inform your colleagues, friends, batchmates about this program. Okay? Thank you so much, Satyan. It's been a great occasion today, and I really like the way you made it very crystal clear and bottom line, because expecting a person at your level to talk at this level is not very easy. Not very easy. All my guests so far, all my 6 guests so far, have done exactly what you did. I'm very, very proud of all of them. They did exactly what you did, down to earth, saying what does it take to win from coming out of CEG to where to go in the world, what it takes to win. And each one of them, I think, each one of the sessions is a learning experience for me. Even though I'm much older than them, each and every one session was a learning experience for me. So I think people who are now finishing college, coming out of college, I hope that these sessions will provide them enough valuable insights about what to take. So that's what I'm requesting people to do. Please attend the sessions and please send us feedback. Okay? Thank you, Satyan, again, and lovely to have you here. And we'll keep in touch. And I'm sure to get more LinkedIn requests in the next few hours. I'm very sure. Thanks.
Thank you, Vish. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Okay,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Okay,
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Partha, you can close the recording now.